It is 2 hours before sunrise. Outside, your window an ox cart is waiting, and it has to be gone before first light. The driver is shouting at the animal is not moving. Behind him the street is stacked with more carts, wheel to wheel, and every one of them is on the same clock. Nobody is going anywhere. And you are 3 floors up, awake, because in this city the deliveries are legally required to happen while you are trying to sleep. So why was a cart banned from the streets of Rome in daylight? Not for a holiday, not for one emperor in a bad mood. Every working day, for centuries by law. Rome had a traffic problem so bad that the fix was a statute, and that city is still enforcing a version of it this morning. By the end of this, you will know why your street gets its deliveries before you are awake. And why the middle of Rome closes to your car at 6:30 in the morning. Let's start with the obvious, because nobody ever pictures it. Rome did not plan its streets, it grew them. The city started as villages on a few hills, and the roads through it began as the paths people were already walking. Then 1 million people moved in on top of them. Almost nothing got wider. The 12 tables, the oldest written law Rome had, fixes the width of a public road at 8 feet on the straight and 16 at a bend. 8 feet, that is 1 cart, plus a little room to be annoyed in. So a Roman street was not a road with traffic on it. It was a corridor with shops spilling out of both sides and a queue building behind anything that stopped. And things stopped constantly. A dropped load, an argument, one animal refusing to walk, and the whole street is a wall. And the shops did not stay inside either. The barber worked in the street. The cook set his pans out in it. Marshall says the whole of Rome had turned into one enormous shop. Then Domitian ordered every stall pulled back over its threshold, and the city got its roads back. Rome once fixed its traffic by telling the shops to get out of the road. There is no way round. That is the problem in one line. Rome built a city for 1 million people on a street plan for a village. So 1 year before the Ides of March, Julius Caesar did something about it. We even know the wording because a copy of the law was punched into a bronze tablet and dug up in southern Italy. From sunrise until the 10th hour of the day, no wheeled vehicle may be driven inside the city. 10 hours, that is nearly every hour of daylight there is. There were exceptions, and the list tells you what Rome actually cared about. Carts hauling stone to the temples and the public building sites. Carts taking the rubble back out again, the wagons of the Vestal virgins and the priests. Triumphs and the processions on games days. Building, clearing, and the gods. Everything else waits for dark. So read it again and notice what it is not. It is not a ban on traffic. Rome could not ban traffic, it is a ban on daylight. And it stuck. Caesar was dead within the year, but the rule outlived him by centuries. Later emperors kept widening it, out to the towns of Italy, and then to cities across the empire. It was the one idea of his that nobody wanted to undo. Caesar's answer to gridlock was to ban the wheel in daylight. If that landed, hit like. So the carts came out after dark, and Rome got loud. The satirist Juvenal is very clear about what that was like. Sleep in this city, he says, costs money. The wagons grind through the bends of the narrow streets. The drovers swear at animals that will not move, and the noise would wake the Emperor Claudius, or a seal. He goes further. Most sick men here, he says, die from lack of sleep. That is a joke with a real edge on it. You cannot open a window on a street that is a freight route from midnight to dawn. And none of that has changed. Your supermarket restocks in the dark. Your bins go at 5. The road outside the shops is at its loudest in the hours when every shop on it is shut. Blame it on Rome. Now the part that should make you laugh, and then stop. The law banned wheels, it did not ban movement. A litter has no wheels, it has men. So the rich went on crossing Rome in the middle of the day, carried by 6 or 8 bearers, above the crowd, through the only quiet air in the city. Juvenal watches one go past. The man inside is reading, some of them are asleep. Down at street level you are taking an elbow in the ribs, a boot on the foot, and a swinging plank of timber past your head. He also tells you about a man crushed under a cart of marble, while his household at home are still laying out his dinner. It is satire, not a police report, but nobody writes that joke about a thing that never happens. So the ban worked the way these things always work. The delivery driver rebuilt his entire life around it. The man being carried never felt it. If you have ever watched a congestion charge land on a van driver and bounce straight off everybody in the back of a car, you have seen this before. Blame it on Rome. Here is where it gets properly good, because one Roman town wrote its traffic down without meaning to. Pompeii was paved in hard stone, and stone remembers. Every cart that turned a corner there left something behind, ruts worn into the road. Chips and polish on the curbstones, always on the side the wheel hubs struck. An archaeologist called Eric Poehler spent years mapping all of it, junction by junction. The marks are not random, they line up. Most of Pompeii's streets ran one way. The routes have been changed and rerouted as the town rebuilt itself, and you can still read which direction a driver was allowed to go. Nobody wrote that system down, the stones did. Then look at the crossings. Pompeii's streets have raised blocks set across them, so you could get over without walking through whatever was running down the middle. The blocks have gaps in them. The gaps are the width of an axle. So the pedestrian crossing was a gauge as well. Bring a cart that is too wide, and the street simply refuses you. That is traffic engineering. In stone, with no paint and no signs, 2,000 years before the first roundabout. Your turn. Which street in your town is the one everybody knows to avoid? And how long has nobody fixed it? Now hold on, you have heard a different version of this, and it is the most repeated claim on the internet about Roman roads. 2 horses wide, a rut, a wheel, and every railway in the world supposedly still built to the width of a Roman cart. Fair question, it is not true. Early railways were built to all sorts of widths. The one came off the coal wagons of one corner of England, and an Act of Parliament locked it in during the 1840s. Roman ruts vary, Roman axles vary. There is no single Roman number sitting under your train. But the instinct under the myth is sound, and the real answer is better. Standards do get set by whatever had to fit through the gap first. And they do outlive every person who agreed to them. Rome's version of that is not your railway, it is the shape of your city center. And that is the uncomfortable part. The law did not delete the traffic. It moved it onto the people with the least standing to argue. Somebody still had to walk those animals through the dark. Somebody unloaded the barges, carried the sacks up from the river, and stacked the warehouses by lamplight. A great many of those men were enslaved. Rome did not solve its congestion, it scheduled it onto other people. And the noise landed by address. Rent a room over a busy street and you got the carts. Own a house up on the hill with a garden round it and you got the quiet. We kept that part too. The reason your morning is calm is that somebody else's night was not. The shelves fill at 4, the bins go at 5. The roadworks happen while you are asleep, so that you never have to think about them. Somebody always pays. It is usually whoever is awake at the hour nobody is watching. Next time, we take apart another Roman habit still running your street. Subscribe, and you will never trust a quiet morning again. But here is the good part, and it is genuinely impressive. The diagnosis was right. Caesar looked at a jammed city and worked out something we spent the whole 20th century forgetting. A dense center and free vehicle access do not go together. You get one of them. So look at what Rome does now. The old center is a limited traffic zone. Cameras sit on the entrances, and if you drive in during the restricted hours without a permit, a fine finds you at home. Same city, same streets, almost the same hours. Caesar kept the carts out through the working day and let them back in at night. Modern Rome keeps the cars out through the working day and lets them back in at night. 2,000 years apart, same problem, same answer, and nobody in that room was knowingly copying anyone. London put a charge on the middle of the city in 2003. Half of Europe has pulled the cars out of its old streets. Cities are writing delivery windows into law right now, as though it were a new idea. It is not a new idea. It is the second oldest traffic law we have. Blame it on Rome. So back to your window 2 hours before sunrise and the cart that has to be gone before the light hits it. Now you know what you are listening to, a street plan built for a village. A law that banned the wheel in daylight and pushed a whole city's freight into the dark. A loophole for anyone rich enough to be carried over it. One-way streets cut into the stones of Pompeii. And a bill handed, then as now, to whoever is working while everybody else sleeps. Your city still runs on Caesar's timetable. Nobody ever repealed it. We just bought vans. So the next time a lorry unloads on your street before you are awake, that arrangement is 2,000 years old and still running. Blame it on Rome.